We spent $400 advertising on Reddit, okay? And we closed a $10,400 job that had a pretty good profit margin. So I'm going to go over kind of how we did that, or my whole experience advertising on Reddit, if I recommend using Reddit as an advertising platform, just kind of the pros and cons of it all, and how we set up our ad campaign. For anybody who doesn't know what Reddit is like anonymous social media, okay? And the only reason that I started advertising on it, or I even thought about it, was because I Google searched Google Ads, and right at the top page of Google, when I Google searched that, Reddit was advertising on that keyword, saying, hey, don't do Google ads, do Reddit ads instead. And I thought, like, I use Reddit for HVAC related things, and I knew that there was a subreddit geared for homeowners essentially seeking help with HVAC systems. And I sometimes go there and like give people, it's called HVAC advice, and I have been on the giving end of that HVAC advice. And I've actually had people reach out after snooping on my Reddit profile and say, hey, like, are you in Southern California? Can I? And so I thought, hey, maybe this could be a potentially useful, this might work anyway. That was my thought. And but the problem with advertising on a platform like Reddit is people aren't going onto there with the thought like, hey, I'm going to go find an HVAC contractor. They're going on to HVAC advice, seeking advice about their HVAC system. They're trying to DIY something, or maybe they've had a technician out and they had a bad experience, and now they're just like, you know what, like they're just going to be overall skeptical. They're not going there to find an HVAC contractor. So it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but definitely not like, we run ads on Yelp. The main one that we run ads on right now is Yelp. But when people search on Yelp, they search HVAC contractor. Like, they're looking for the HVAC contractor, that's what they're looking for. No one goes to Reddit and tries to find an HVAC contractor. I mean, not generally. It'd be pretty rare. So that being said, let's dive into how we set up the campaign and how we can target the customers that but basically how we targeted and our customer, our ideal customer on Reddit. We go to Reddit ads. So when you set up your Reddit ads, if you do create campaign, I did advanced campaign. You might want to do a simple one, but we will name this one YouTube. Okay. And if we're going for traffic conversions, let's say we're going for traffic. And then here, I didn't try automated ad creation, but basically you can target here based on community. So I did, the one that ended up working for us was HVAC advice, but you can choose any community, okay? And then here, it lets you to expand your target audience for selections. I deselected that because I only wanted people who were in the subreddit that I was actually looking for, okay? So I didn't want to have HVAC advice and HVAC, because HVAC was for HVAC professionals and HVAC advice is some place for homeowners to go to ask questions. So I figured I was wasting more money if I included the HVAC one. Now, once we have the subreddits picked out we want to pick, we can go, where am I looking for? Oh yeah, we can go to actual metro area. So San Diego. So this is what we are looking for. We are looking for to advertise to people who have shown interest in HVAC advice in San Diego. And I'm sure there's other ways. We could try and narrow it down more, like, oh, they've shown interest in this, but really, those are the main two things that the main two ways that I filtered my ads. Okay. So, and then you set your budget and you make your ad, you put your pictures in, you choose your video. So I set up 3 campaigns. Okay. I targeted 3 different subreddits. So the first subreddit was HVAC advice. That one was our best performing one. And then we also did one that was in the San Diego subreddit, and that was more like of just a exposure one. And then we did heat pumps. That's another subreddit where people specifically go and ask questions about heat pumps. It's a much smaller subreddit, and I wasn't really confident that one would net us really anything. Now, if we look at this, keep in mind, we have essentially, we are advertising to people who are not looking for a local HVAC contractor. So I knew that our click-through rate was going to be poor. And so, but our click-through rate on heat pumps was 0.326%. On San Diego was 0.151. That is absolutely horrible, but that was our click-through rate. And then on HVAC advice, it was 0.805. We advertised in 2 stints. So the first little grouping, the first time we advertised was right at the beginning of summer. And we advertised from May 18th through July 4th. So a little bit more than 2 weeks. Like, I don't know how many days that is, but about 2 weeks. And we spent, let's see, in that time frame, we spent just over $200. And then in the next time frame, we spent $190. So it was about $200 each go around. So we spent $400 total roughly. It was like $391 or something. Now here's my thinking. And, and I wasn't really tied to this, but I was like, hey, look, if we could get someone to call us from Reddit that was not, they weren't looking for an HVAC contractor. So, like, we're going to get someone that goes to our website, looks us over, and says, you know what? Like, fuck DIYing. Fuck whoever I've dealt with. These guys seem cool. I'm going to call them. And I figured by the time they called us, we would essentially have won a customer. Okay, so that turned out to be true. But usually if we spend $400 on ads, we get from any other advertising platform, we get a pretty big number of calls. On this one, we spent $400 and we got 1 phone call. That 1 phone call turned into a service call, which it ended up being a system that had previously been diagnosed by another company as not having any refrigerant. And he called us, we went out there, and I said, okay, we could do it had like barely any refrigerant left in it. And I said, we can either A, find and fix the leak, or B, we can replace your system. And he ended up replacing his system. It was about 15 years old and had a pretty major refrigerant leak somewhere. And so it ended up, we made, the job was $10,400. I think some of that we're actually getting back in rebates. So he paid us $9,400 and we got some rebates on the equipment. And so I think that our total material cost was $3,000 something. And then, so essentially like $6,000 goes towards labor and overhead, which, that's very good. It was a like day and a half job. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is the call that we got was very, very good, but that's a lot of money to spend on 1 phone call. Would I recommend advertising on here? I mean, as a very frequent thing, probably not. The way that we have it set up here, where we advertise in a couple short stints. The second go around, we advertised for 8 days. First time it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16 days. So we advertised a total of 24 days. And because we narrowed down our target audience so much, what happened was Reddit was bombarding the same people with our ad. Because anybody who had shown interest in the subreddits, especially the smaller subreddits that were in San Diego, there's not going to be a ton of traffic within San Diego. The reason that I know that they were getting bombarded with ads was because anytime I would open Reddit while we were running ads, I would see our ad. And then I have a friend in San Diego who was seeing our ad. And then I got a couple messages and a couple comments on our ad saying, hey, take this ad down. It's super annoying, because they were seeing it every single time they opened Reddit. Now, there's a lot. If you go to Reddit, just let's do it incognito so it doesn't give us any biased info. But if we go to Reddit, see, this is a Forex crypto. I thought Kraken was crypto. But this is a trading platform. And they're advertising on there. That's like, they're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks right there. And that's pretty much what, like, if you're a company that's going for brand exposure, big company, generally that's who I would say would be a better company to advertise. See, Star Wars right here, Star Wars video game. Let's see. Los Angeles Times news. So yeah, just anyone or any company that is just trying to get in front of as many people as possible. That's who generally I think would do better advertising on Reddit. And the reason is because even though we only got one call, if you look at this, let's look over here. The amount that we pay for the amount of exposure we get, especially on like this subreddit, our San Diego subreddit, where there's a lot of traffic, we're paying $3.50 per 5,000 or per 1,000 impressions. So for $3.50, 1,000 people are seeing our ad. That's a lot of exposure for the price we're paying. The HVAC advice one was a little bit more, but the total that we paid was still under $5 per 1,000. So if you're just okay like paying for exposure, then Reddit is a good place to advertise. I would say generally home services may not be a great, you might be able to make it more, if you could fine tune the ad campaign a little bit, and if you say we're advertising throughout a whole state so that people didn't see it every single time, they're not going to get so annoyed with your ad. But yeah, and I mean, exposure like that isn't necessarily a bad thing. So yeah, I guess that's my whole take on it is maybe not great for HVAC. We did get a job from it. I think really there's probably a lot of industries that are like HVAC where if you ran short targeted campaigns, you could like gain clients in short windows. But I would say generally the advertising on Reddit would potentially work better if it was like, I see sometimes like major car manufacturers advertising on Reddit. Adobe was advertising on Reddit, but I think like, I don't know, Pepsi or something, like big brands are just throwing ads onto Reddit. And I think it's because it's a very cheap form of advertising compared to advertising on like Google or something. It's just like, it's just, yeah, I guess you get what I'm saying. I think Reddit, the front page of the internet, I would say On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it like a 5. It's right in the middle. Would I recommend it? Maybe. I'm sure. Okay, here are a couple things. I'm sure. I mean, I set my ad campaigns up here in like 20 minutes, I swear. So they're easy to set up, and I probably could have done a better job of setting my ad campaigns up, first off. And second off, I know my website is definitely not like a super high performing website. So if you go and look at my website here, it's a basic website still. So it's like, I mean, it's nothing bad, but it's like, I mean, we could definitely improve it, I think. And if we improved our website, and like improved the conversion of our website, then I think that it could improve, because if you look in all of our windows, we got 472 clicks. I don't think that those were all unique. And also, what you have to think about is some of those clicks from our HVAC advice subreddit were probably HVAC guys. I know a couple of them at least were myself when I was on Reddit. Some of them were probably accidental clicks. So, yeah, like half of the money we spent on this campaign, our HVAC advice campaign, was probably targeting HVAC professionals. And I knew that going into it, because I don't know what the mix of people in that subreddit is, HVAC professionals versus homeowners, but there's definitely a decent contingent of HVAC guys in there. So I knew that a lot of that money was being wasted right off the bat, because I know HVAC professionals in San Diego were going to call us. But whatchamacallit? Yeah, we did get a lot of clicks, and we did not get a lot of calls. So that's telling me that our website could use some work. And so I can't really blame Reddit for that. I can blame myself for that. And if we can up our website conversion and also up our click-through rate on our ad, both those things. But I'm not really, those are just, I think even if we did that, I think it would be a marginal increase on either field. Like we could up our clicks. If we doubled our clicks on our ad and we had 800, then that would lead to maybe 2 calls instead of 1. But then if we increased our website's effectiveness of showing who we are and making people like call, then maybe we end up with like 3 or 4 calls for the same amount of money spent, and then the numbers start to look much different. So I will probably keep playing around with Reddit ads. All my HVAC guys, don't go and copy me if you're in San Diego. I was gonna keep this for myself, but it didn't work well enough for me to really bother hoarding the secrets. But I think it was a little bit fun. And I will say this too, I've gotten more customers for free off of Reddit just giving free HVAC advice than I did the paid one. So take that for what it's worth. I actually today ran a repair. I've replaced a capacitor from Reddit. So that does happen. I've been contacted either directly. I've been contacted by probably like 5 or 6 people off of Reddit, not from ads. And that's just from me like having a beer and giving people free advice if I'm like bored at home. So that is, I guess, all of it. And yeah, sorry if this video seems a little bit all over the place. I know that I do like talking about business stuff. I like talking about numbers. I like talking about money. I don't like talking about like performance indicators and all that. I just like talking about like, hey, like this is what goes into running a business. I have gotten positive feedback on most of my business related videos. I don't have a lot of them, but if people like them, then I can make some more. Just let me know what topics you actually want to see, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into running a business that I didn't know about. I didn't have anybody to show me this stuff, so I'm just doing a bunch of trial and error kind of things, and I will gladly share any info that people want to hear It's just, I mean, yeah, I don't mind putting some free knowledge into the world. So if people like this, then leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If people don't like it, dislike it, tell me like, hey, do more HVAC stuff. We don't care about this business bullshit. And I won't do any more stuff like this. I need more number stuff. But yeah, we will actually be uploading the install that we got from Reddit. The guy was like, oh yeah, I guess this is one more thing that I want to add. So Reddit will have a certain demographic on there. It's like the kind of like, I'd say like engineering minds, like that tend to frequent Reddit. And the guy that we sold the install for was an engineer. So if, at least for my industry, if you're not ready to take, like, I love working for engineers personally. I know a lot of guys do not, but if you're not ready to deal with that kind of customer, then Reddit is probably not the place for you to advertise, because you're going to hate yourself. But I personally like working with engineers. So I went out there. Yeah. Anyway, super cool guy. And the video from his install will be up sooner than later. So cool. Sweet. I will catch you on the next one.